going to make our origami boxes, our Christmas treat boxes. Don't have to be for Christmas, can be used for anything else. This little one here, now I've done it so it is a Christmas tree. I've just put a little sort of trunk on the bottom, but you don't have to do that. You could just have it as the little pyramid hanging on the tree, and you can put the numbers on there as well if you wanted to sort of string them up as an advent, whether you want to do it as a advent on a wall or if you want to do it as an advent on the Christmas tree. So it's completely up to you. And the same here with the larger one. You can sort of, I've just put a patterned bit of paper on there for now, but I've added a little tag so I could write somebody's name on that, but you could put the name on there and have that on your table settings for Christmas, or it could be for weddings or anything like that. So these are really, really versatile. I'll be honest, I have rummaged through my scrap boxes, and if you know, some of you that know me will know that I have quite a lot of scrap, and I like to use my scraps, and that's what I've been cutting up today, just to sort of get through and utilize these. Now what I love about these is that if you can open up the back and you can fit a Ferrero Rocher or a Lindt chocolate ball in there, or any other chocolates, okay, that will fit in there, because I've made these nice and deep so that they will take that. And in this big one here there are 3 in there. I'm surprised they're still in there actually. When the family comes round, I do have to sort of check their pockets, make sure that they've not pinched any. But let's make a start. I think what we're going to do, we'll start with the big one first, because we've got, I think it'll just be easier for you to see how the mechanism and everything works together, and then we'll do the smaller one. Okay. Just popped up. Can't seem to watch you live on my laptop tonight. Oh, sorry about that, Sam. Hopefully you are with us though. Perhaps you're on your iPad or your phone or something. So, but good for you to be with us anyway, my lovely. Now, these cutting and scoring instructions. Oh, that's the cat. Yes, hello, cat. Go and lie down. There's a good boy. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, now you'll notice that I've put on here mini tree ornament, 1 chocolate, so that refers to that one. And obviously the other one, festive treat box, 3 chocolates, refers to this one. And this is the one that we're going to make first. And you'll see that I've been doing some of my really wonderful drawings just to give you a bit of a heads up where it comes to scoring and doing all our pencil lines and everything like that. And you know me, I like to be quite particular with my pencil lines. That's why I've put them on here. Do you know what, if you're not that worried, you can just gung-ho it with a pair of scissors when we get to that point. But I like mine to look quite precise and neat, but that's just how I am. Right, so let's have a little look there. So we're starting off with the treat box. So first of all, let's make sure I've got all my bits cut. And the main box, 10¼ inches by 3¼ inches, and we're going to do the scoring on that. I've got a little 3-inch circle there and a 1½ inch circle. I've also cut out a tag at 1½ inch by 2 inches. Okay, so that's all our black cardstock done. And then for the patterned papers, I'm going with like this sort of, it's like contrasting snowflakes and things like that. And these are 3 inches by 1¼ inches, so I've got 3 of those already cut. And these ones are 2 7/8 by 5/8, and I've got 6 of those cut ready. I haven't cut my tag yet because I think I'll make a decision on what pattern paper I'm going to put on that. Hello, cat, please get down. You're not meant to be up here. Thank you. And the same with the circle. So when we come to that bit, I'll show you what we're going to be doing. All right, let's get cracking then, everybody. So we're going to take our big bit first. Okay, our 10-inch by 3¼ and we're scoring on the 10¼ inch side. So as you can see here, let's just move these bits out of the way. So I'm trying to fend off a cat here, as well as trying to show you what I'm doing, all right? So just, if any of you saw my post earlier, you'll understand that this is my challenge I have when I'm doing any crafting, is that I have a certain fur baby that likes to be in everything. Right, okay, so the first score line is 1/2 inch. So we come down 1/2 inch. Then we're doing 3 3/4. So we're going to score down there. And then we are going to be scoring 7 inches. Okay. So that's going to give us sort of 3 even panels. And then the little 1/2 inch here, which is what is going to join everything together. And then we're going to turn it onto the 3 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 7/8 of an inch all the way down there, and 2 3/8. 2 3/8. Okay, and now this is going to give us the width, and then these are going to be our side bits that are going to be folding over. All right, so let's just pop that down there. Now on my lovely diagram, so making sure we've got the right diagram, so I'm going to just pop it up here so I can see. I've said about doing the pencil lines, so you'll see that I've already added on here the score lines, so you can see which way the paper needs to go. So you need to have your 1/2 inch score line to the left hand side. Okay, I have got the bubble side up because this is, in effect, is going to be our inside, so I'm going to do all my drawing and penciling on the inside. Okay, and then our pencil lines, so just get, oh, that's not a very good sharp pencil. Okay, so let's just work in. So the pencil line, starting from where that first score line is, going to be 1 inch. So I'm working these going from one end to the other, and I just thought it's probably the easiest way of doing this. If any of you saw me do the Halloween lantern last week, you'll see that I did exactly the same way. Okay, then we got 3 1/4, so 3 inches and 1/4. I'm using my lovely Omni grid, and I'm just drawing these pencil lines right the way down. Okay, and then we've got 4 1/4, so I'm going to have to turn it that way. 4 1/4. Let's just line these up. There we go. 4 1/4, and then we've got 6 1/2. So I'm going to zoom that all the way down to 6 1/2. 6 1/2. And draw that pencil line there, and then we've got 7 1/2. Right, so that's it. 7 1/2, and then the last one is too big for that ruler, so let me just grab the other one. And 9 3/4. 9 3/4. Okay. So you should have your pencil line. So there's the 1/2 inch score line, and then basically you've got a pencil line going either side of the score line, and it's roughly about 1/4 inch, give or sorry, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, give or take a little bit. Okay, but don't worry too much, because when we come to cut these, you'll see. So that is all the cutting and scoring that we need to be doing. The pencil drawing and scoring need to be doing. And this is how we're going to cut up our piece of card. So I've done one here already. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the other end. So not the end that's got the 1/2 inch score line. Okay, and just grab yourselves a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to leave that there so you can see what I'm doing. And basically I'm going to cut from the edge here to that score line. So I'm giving it that sort of shape. Okay, and I'm going to do that on the bottom and the top. So we'll start at one end. Here we go. So I'm just going to line that up and I'm just going to cut like so. All right. Now, if anybody has got any questions or anything, then please do shout out as we're going along. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut up to that pencil line there. Okay, so that's got my two ends here. Now, when we come to this bit, it depends, I'll be honest, it really does depend where your pencil lines fall against where your score line is, because some scoreboards are slightly different. They're slightly out. I can see here that this pencil line is a little bit further over than it should be. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut in on there. But at the end of the day, you're just aiming for this slant. Okay, so I'm just using this as a rough guide. But this is where I always say that sometimes you have to have a little bit of wiggle room in order to make any adjustments. And often or not, it's when you do your scoring, and depending on the paper that you're using as well, as to how far the bubble goes over or goes through when you score it. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then I'm going to come in again on the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting to that middle score line, but I'm going from the inside of that pencil line down to there, and then I'm coming from the other pencil line across like so. There we go. So you're sort of getting these V shapes now. And then when we get to this last one, which has got the half-inch bit, which is going to be our tab, I'm going to cut to that half-inch line, and then I'm just going to cut that off square at the moment. Okay, she says I haven't cut that through enough. There we go. And because I've now done that, I can now give that corner its own little mitre and just take a little bit off. So you can see the angle is not to go straight across. You need to come down to that score line first. Once you've done that and taken that out, then you can do that little mitre bit there. So when you look at what it's going to look like originally, you know, when we finished, so you get your little tab bit going on like that. And then I'm just going to turn it around and come back and do the other side. So I'm going to cut down that straight bit first to that's where the score lines cross over, and I'm just going to snip that across. Now I've got that straight edge there, I can just give that a little mitre. Okay, how's everybody doing? Is everybody with me so far? I mean, these don't take that long. You could cut these all out and sit there and score them and all the rest of it relatively quickly. It's the decoration, but I think that's the best bit though. I don't know about anybody else. I think that's the best bit when it comes to doing all the decorating and you know, sort of designing or whatever you want to put on your little boxes. Okay, and this is something you could get the children involved with as well, actually. So you could cut out the bases, and they can decorate the other side, and then you can just fold it up and glue it for them. And then they've got their little ones. Yep, all caught up. I did. Oh, bless you. That's good. Yep, Susie's with us as well. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of my rubbish. The fur baby has settled, so I think we're going to be all right now. just not trying to fend him off in the background. I think if anybody could see what I'm up to here, they'll be laughing at me. All right, so that is our basic shape. Okay, and you've got two options now. You can either decorate it while it's flat, or you can stick it together and decorate it. But let's go with the easier option. We're going to decorate it while it's flat, and then I can explain what I've done here. So let's just get my distress ink. So I've cut my panel pieces for my pattern, okay, which are going to sit here. Now, if you are really clever, you could, if you were doing this in a long strip, for example, you could have the pattern follow in so it goes all the way round. But because this has come out my scrap box, I haven't got that effect. I mean, these are, right, let me just show you while everybody's catching up. These are the scraps I've been cutting out from. So, as you can see, you know, I couldn't quite get a whole strip coming across there. But I'm going to distress ink all the way round these. So I'm going to do all 3 of those. And if you're one like I am who likes to do a bit of faux stitching, then you can do a bit of faux stitching around these, or you can leave them plain. Now, the one thing that I haven't really talked about, which you could do, is you could actually make the base pocket just in a patterned paper, and then you haven't got to worry about cutting out these extra bits and sticking it on and all the rest of it. If you're short for time, or that's not the effect that you want, then yeah, by all means, you know, just cut the whole thing out of a piece of paper, in which case you'll need some, you know, sort of like, you might get away with A4 size because we cut it at 10 and a quarter, so you'll probably get a nice strip out of a A4 piece of patterned paper if that's what you wanted to do. So I'm just going to zoom round and do my little faux stitching. So now that I've inked it, I quite like doing the faux stitching. I just think it just finishes it off. But and I know we've talked about this before and I've shown you other different designs, but for tonight I'm just doing my little dashes because it's just quick and easy. And for anybody else, you can obviously take your time on this if you so wish, but I just think it finishes it off. Now, if you're not like me and just going for it hands-free, as I call it, then grab yourself a ruler. You know, there's no shame in that. Just grab yourself a ruler and you can sort of do that. But I think this just gives it that extra little je ne sais quoi, and it just shows that it's handmade. So if my dashes are a little wonky, you know what, I'm not too worried about that. And yeah, I think it would. I think it just gives it that last little zhuzh that it needs. It was quite interesting actually that while I was away at the weekend, we were having conversations about handmade gifts and things like that, and you know, saying that, you know, some people sort of scoff at getting a handmade gift, and you know, I said, but how can you do that? You know, somebody's taken the time and love for making you a handmade gift, you know, and it, if we're all honest, probably costs you more than what if you'd popped down and bought them a gift card or something like that. You know, I just think it's a nice thing, and especially at this time of year, or any other celebration, of course. But you know, I think that's quite lovely for people to sort of do that. Okay, so I've done my 3. So that was where my pencil lines are. So I've just turned that over, so I'm on the right side now, and now I can glue those down in those little panels. Oh, thank you, Sam, for that. Yeah, no, I think so. I think, you know, people don't realise how much some items, you know, cost, you know, especially like the albums and things like that, and especially the bigger albums. You know, if you make an album for somebody, you know, then yeah, you know, it can cost you quite a bit. And yes, don't remove those that appreciate. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do believe that too, Sam. It was just a conversation that we had at the weekend, really. I like that comment. She's just put. She's trying to figure out who those people are that. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you've enjoyed making it, I think that's half the battle, isn't it? So I'm just making sure that as I'm sticking these on that they are all in line, even though you're not necessarily going to see it flat like this. That's good to hear as well, Sam. Deborah's in your crew, definitely. So we're just going to pop that on there. So that is that bit done already. You can see how lovely and how quickly these come together. And as I said, if you want to get the children involved, you know, I think these are really good, really lovely. Okay, so our next bit is our patterned papers, okay, for the little flap bits that are going on here. And I've put on there, so I call these like the phantom back panels, and what I mean by that is that they're these bits, okay, the front and the back. All right, that's what these are. And I've put on there draw 3/8 of an inch on both ends of the strip, okay, for cutting the diagonal. Now this is where I said if you're really quite precious about your measurements, shall we say, then by all means do this. Otherwise, just grab yourself a pair of scissors and snip off the diagonal. But I'm just going to measure my 3/8 of an inch there, and I'm just going to put a little pencil mark on there. I'm going to turn that round and do the other side. As you can see, I'm doing 2 at a time. It's just quicker. Slide that in, put that pressure down. Put too much pressure down there and it wouldn't. Right, okay, and I'm just sort of, so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just marking the 3/8 of an inch coming in on each end. All right, and I'm going to do the same again. So let's just line these up. Okay, let's turn that around. That's better. Okay, it's just a rough guesstimate. Right, 3/8 and 3/8. There we are. 1, 2, and my last 2. We're just going to do this. Here we go. So I had lots of fun scrapbooking, and I will at some point get round to posting some of my scrapbook pages. I think it's just nice to be able to share different crafts and things like that, you know, just to give other people inspiration and that. But there we go. Right, okay, so once you've done these, basically what I'm going to do is my smaller scissors. I'm just going to cut from the corner across. So I'm creating, now you need to be careful here because you need to make sure that your diagonal shape is coming in from the outer corner into the pencil mark. Okay, let me just do it on this one and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, so you end up with like a little boat shape, I suppose is what you can call it, sort of. You know, when we was at school and they said to you, draw a boat, that's the sort of shape we'd end up drawing. So that's what we're aiming for. Okay. And I'm just going to do this on all the others, like so. And just so I've got those. Okay, and then these other ones. But if you do these, make these out the pattern paper, you don't need to worry about doing any of this. But it's just another option that you can use to make these. I think these are really, really lovely little gift idea. And do you know what? These would actually make a really nice gift idea for teachers. You could buy yourself a box of wrapped chocolates, put 3 in each, and you could get all your teachers' gifts done for your children all in one go. And how lovely would they look? You know, what a lovely idea. I'd be quite happy to get something like this. It's chocolate at the end of the day, so it's always a winner with me. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lay these on here before I ink them, just in case I need to give these a little trim or just maneuver these around a bit, because obviously sometimes sometimes the diagonals aren't quite right in some places as they are in others. So we'll just have, you see now that one sits much better over there. So just have a little play, and with these I'm leaving about a quarter, or an eighth of an inch all the way around rather. There we go. I'm just going to pop that on there, and I'm going to pop that one on there, so I can see roughly. I'm going to need to take a tiny little bit off of that one, so I'm just going to angle that down a little bit. That one just needs a little slither. Like I said, it really does. There we go, and I think we're pretty much there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them in situ, and I'm going to ink round and do the faux stitching quickly. So I don't put them in the wrong place, and so now that I've done that, now that I've cut them or double check them, I can sort of ink them all like so. It's quite therapeutic doing stuff like this. I don't know about anybody else. And these, you know, and I just think these would make great table setting decorations as well. Like making these up for a wedding or a birthday party or something like that. But great for using up all your scraps, everybody. You know me, I love to use up my scraps. I think this particular paper range that I've got in my hand at the moment, I think I've had for about 15 years. Just saying. You know, I bought it to make, would you believe, I bought this paper pad to make Christmas crackers with, and then it was all the bits that was left over from making the Christmas crackers. And I made some lovely curvy boxes as well using this paper range, so I had lots of scrap left over. Yeah, Sam's with me, aren't you, Sam? We love a good scrap use up. Right, okay, so we're just going to quickly zoom around these. How are we doing for time? We've got plenty of time on how to really scrap bust. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll note that down, Sam. I did put a little poll out a while ago to find out what people would like us to sort of concentrate a bit more on for next year. So I've taken that on board. But any other suggestions of anything else? If there are certain techniques that you'd like me to show you, I wouldn't necessarily do them as a Craftywafty along, but I could certainly do some videos for you. If there are certain things that you would like to see me do, I'm more than happy to have a go at that. You know, maybe things like using textured pastes, or you know, all the lovely distress inks and so forth, alcohol inks, anything along those lines. If that's your bag, you know, then do pop it into the comments or send us a message and that, and then we can sort of plan those in, because I think, you know, I think it's nice to be able to sort of incorporate some of these techniques, you know, even going back to basic stamping and embossing, using the embossing powders. That's how I started back in the day, when I was making some cards and things like that, was very much doing the embossing powders and things, and all the different techniques and colorways and stuff that you can utilize. And I just think it's really a nice way of being able to you know, sort of have a play with, really. But yes, definitely do let us know, because I'm quite happy to have a go at most things, to be honest. What's been languishing in your drawer? Let's have a look. Sam says, I love alcohol inks. Yeah, in fact, I've got a couple of, I'm going to be playing with some alcohol inks on acetate and acrylic coming up, so that I've planned in already. Make ways for the new goodies. That's a nice idea, Wendy. Yeah, let's use up all our scraps and everything else, and then we've got plenty of room to buy new stuff. Loving it. And I just think I think it's a nice way of utilising different things. So it's all good stuff. All good stuff. Right, we've just got 2 more to go. How's everybody doing? Give me a thumbs up if you're all on track. That would be great to see. I'm just going to carry those on. And I've been doing some collaboration stuff with the lovely Paul. I took his little treat box and I've been messing around with that. I don't know if some of you might have seen the videos. Anyway, I've been asked to write up the instructions. And so they will be coming soon, very soon. I'm just finalising a couple of bits and pieces on those, so do keep a lookout. I'll put a post on Facebook anyway to let you know when I've put them up. Okay, so I've not forgotten, but we are almost done now. Look at this. You see, these are just so cute, and we love cute. We do love a bit of cute. Right, okay, so now I've got those all done, I'm literally going to glue them down. Okay, so here's my lovely glue. I'm just going to pop these on. Now that I worked out which one they've got to go, where they've got to go, I need to make sure I stick them on the right one. There we are. And again, I'm trying to leave that 1/8 of an inch all the way round. Can't wait to have a go at the boxes. Who said that? Wendy? Yeah. They are so cute. Paul's little treat boxes. That's what I love about it as well, though, is that we can collaborate with others and you know, sort of learn new techniques and exchange ideas and stuff like that. I just think that's why I love the crafting community, you know. It's all about sharing the love and the knowledge, you know, and being inspired by others, I think, is really important. I mean, I've been looking at a few bits and pieces, and oh my goodness, my brain's going 10 to the dozen with some of the ideas that I've got coming up. So I'm warning you now, right? Hold your horses for next year. No, it should all be good. Right, okay, and we're just on that one there, and then the last one. So it doesn't take that long to do. I mean, if you look at it, you know, I know I've been chit-chatting in between, but half an hour or so just to cut out the papers and prep them and all the rest of it, and we're pretty much done with that. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. Before we put this together, I'm just going to fold on our score lines. Okay. Just so we get a bit of memory in our paper. We're not going to do anything yet. We're not going to stick it together yet. And I'm just going to fold that on there. I'm with you there, Sam. People that know me, I've got something like, somebody said to me, Deb, how many projects have you currently got on the go? Oh, and I sat down and counted them. No word of a lie, there was about 45 unfinished projects. Ranging from doing crochet stuff, knitting stuff, sewing stuff, you know, as well as all the paper crafting and everything else that I do in macrame. Oh my goodness, I just had so much stuff. Because I have what I call the squirrel effect. You know, I'll go along quite happily, then I'll sort of like turn my head like a squirrel because I've seen something that's I'm attracted to, and then I go off on a tangent, and then I'm like, oh, I need to do that, I need to play with that, I need that. Yes, Sam, I know. 45, mind you. Actually, no, that's a bit of a fib. I'm down to 44 because I did finish one of my crochet projects this week, so I'm down to 44 now. But yeah, well, I'm now retired, so I've got plenty of time. She says, I hope I've got plenty of time to get these all finished. Hi, Jackie, welcome. Jackie's just joined us. Right. Okay. Oops, I just dropped my bone folder on the floor. There we go. Right. Okay. Now, for this bit here, I've put a 3/4 of an inch circle. Okay, so this is our little circle here, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke. Now obviously not poke my finger, we don't want to trip up to A&E. I'm just going to poke my pokey tool through and just make a little hole. All right, and I'm going to make a hole in the center of one of these score lines here. So let's just make sure that's, so looking at where that closure is going to be, so I want the closure to the bottom, so I'm going to come in at the top here, and I'm just going to center it. Now I'm putting this on. Now this is how we would put this on for the if we were going to hang it up, but I'm doing this for the tag. All right, so I'm just making a hole with a bit of cord there to do for the tag. So I'm just going to poke that through the center of that score line. All right, let's bring that back in on the other way. Now I've done that. Yeah, Jackie's saying be careful. Jackie knows how clumsy I can be, don't you, Jackie? Oh goodness, I am a blinking nightmare, and she knows that, bless her heart. Right, okay, so I've put the hole in ready for my baker's twine, is what I'm using, just because I quite like it, just, you know, to go with this. But, you know, if you've got thin ribbon, cord, anything like that, you can use that to put in your tag. And I've set here about 6 inches in length. So let's just get my ruler. I'm just going to snip that bit off. Like so. Tuck that. Whoops. I'm unraveling it, Deb. Right, okay, I'm just going to pop that back in my drawer out the way so I don't lose it. All right, and my little tag. Now, my little tag, if you have a tag punch, because when I did this one, I used a tag punch. As you can see, it's got a little fancy edge to it. All right, that's my tag punch that I use. But I thought if I just show you how to make one without a tag punch. So if you've got corner rounders, okay, you could use, let's use that one. I'm just going to clip in some corner rounders at the top here, for example, and then I can punch a hole through there, and I can put that on as a tag. All right, if I want to put patterned paper on, because on this side I've put patterned paper on, okay, and then I'm leaving it on black on the other side because I'm actually going to write the person's name using a white pen. Okay, so it looks like chalkboard type thing. Okay, then obviously I need to cut the same size and punch that ready to go on. Hi Christine, welcome. So I'm just going to get my let's have a little look, just see what I'm going to use for my circle to go in the middle of my thing. Now this is where I get all these bits out, or I could punch a circle like that out of that. So I might make that using, again, this is what I'm saying, or I've got this one which has got some nice Christmassy words on it, but you're not going to get a lot on my tag there. So let's stick with, she says, well, I've just buried it all. I'm going to make the tag using this. So the tag measurements that were done in the black card was 1.5 inches by 2 inches. So let's just cut that 1.5 inches. Here we go, 1.5 by 2. So I'm just going to trim that down there, like so. There we go. Pop that out the way by 1.5 by 2 inches. Obviously, if you want to, you can make your tag bigger, but I've just gone with this size. There we go. All right. And now what I could have done if I wanted to, I could have stuck that on first and then punched it. Okay. But it doesn't really matter. Right, let's just make sure I get the right one. So I'm going to punch this. And we're just going to do the other side. Like so. Let's just get rid of these little wispy bits. And I'm going to ink round here again and do my faux stitching very quickly round here, and then I'm going to punch a hole in them. I'm going to glue this on and then I'm going to punch a hole in it, but you don't have to do the tag if you don't want to. Like I said, you could just, where the circle is, you could just put a person's name on there, but just giving you some options here. We'll just zoom along. Just to give you a heads up, if the micron pen that I'm using is 0.5 as well. I just find it's got a nice thickness to it for doing the faux stitching with. I find some of the others just a little bit on the thick and thin side. It's a bit like the Goldilocks story. This is neither too fat nor too thin. It's just right. And yeah. That's my preferred choice, is using that one. Okay, so I'm going to glue that onto there. Like so. A little bit of glue. Pop that onto there. I think where I've cut that, it's probably just a fraction, but that's fine. Like so. That is my tag. Okay. And then I'm just going to get my crocodile. Oh, goodness me. Here it is. And I'm just going to punch a hole into this end here. Right. Actually, how big a... No, just a little hole. Let's do a little hole. If you don't have one of these, you know, just a hole punch will do. Or if worst comes to the worst, just poke it through with a pokey tool. Okay, right, so there's my little tag. So now I can build up my tag ready to be attached. So I'm just going to get my bit of baker's twine, and you can get lots of lovely colours of baker's twine now, like one with like the red, white and blue, like, and Christmassy colours and things like that, which I think is really, really nice. So obviously you can be selective. Okay, so that's my tag. Now here does come the tricky little bit, is to poke this through this little disc here. I might need to make that just a little bit wider. Okay, I'm just going to thread that through. She says, trying to thread it through. It's a slippery little Watson, aren't you? Right, I'm going to snip that ends off so that they're both the same length. That's my issue. She says snip the ends off. Honestly, I'm making as they say, a pig's ear out of that. Right, there we go, Deb. That's a bit better. All right. They say don't we work with children and animals, I think they should have a thing on there, don't work with craft materials on a live. Right, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie that round in a knot. And the idea is that the circle will hopefully prevent the knot from coming through on the other side, depending on how deep or not I've done that. But I'm just going to double knot that. Oh no, you know what I've done? You see, I do it every week, don't I? I do something. I should have put this through the... Honestly, Deb, what are you like? Right, try not to stab yourself at this point. But I don't proceed. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't double knot that, because that would have been really tricky. Do you know what? I'm just going to cut that bit off and I'm going to start again. Shall I start again, people? I think I'm going to start again. I thought it was going too well. Why wasn't it so fiddly like it has been before? Now I realise what I've done. Right, so where were we? 6 inches of baker's twine. You see? Thank you for that, Deborah. Yeah, you know me, honestly. Right, okay, so where was I? I was putting this on. So I was getting so engrossed in just doing the little knot bit. And then when I mentioned about putting it through, dear oh Lord. Right, okay, you put your baker's twine through your tag, dush, 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 like so. Oh, honestly. Right, okay, now I'm going to poke that end through the hole that I've made in my box. When we come to do the Christmas ornament one, you'll be so good at this. Right, and I'm just leaving enough there to sort of drop. Right, now that is down. Where's my circle? Now I'm going to put my circle through. Okay. No, that's not going through. Right. If need be, I might have to get a bit of sellotape just to wrap around that end just to help that go through. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Just get... Oh, actually, I've got a bit of black tape. That will work. That will do. Just a little bit of black tape just to wrap that end round, just to help thread it through. There we go. See, at least you get to see what to do when when you do it wrong. You see, you get it from all angles, don't you? Right, okay, let's cut that off. Right, where was I? So you take your ends of your lovely baker's twine and you thread it through the circle. Voila! Like so. I've still got the tag on the end. I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. And then I'm going to tie that in a knot. There we go. Like once, and then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to double knot that. So when that goes through, so that will dangle down. So if you imagine that's on the side, that's going to dangle down. I'm just going to pull that through. I'm going to add a little bit of glue underneath there. Okay. Now, I think that is a little bit on the long side, that bit of string, but it doesn't matter. And actually, if worst comes to the worst, we'll just stick a bit of tape on it and then it's going nowhere. So when I did this the first time, I didn't need to worry about the length of the... Right, so I'm just going to pull that through. That works, that's fine. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm going to put that in another knot, but actually I'm going to get a bit of black tape and I'm going to just cover that. There we go. So whichever is easiest for you, everybody. I mean, the fact that it's got a knot there, it's not going to go through that anyway. And we're just going to secure it down with a bit of black tape. There we go. All right. Voila. Oh, goodness me. Right. Moving swiftly on. How's everybody doing now? Is everybody all okay? I'm so glad, Susie. Thank you for that, because, yeah, I never say that I'm a professional. That is my get out clause, you know that. But now we're at the point where we're going to glue our end in there. Now, you could do it with a bit of bookbinding glue or anything like that, but I'm actually going to add just a little bit of red liner tape on there, because I don't want the box to spring open. I want it to catch and basically not go anywhere. So I'm just going to rub that on there, and then that's going to fold over, and that bit is going to attach on there. And what we need to make sure is that we're lining up across the top there. Don't worry about these bits for the minute, because these were folding on themselves. Okay, so we're just going to peel that off. I will add a little bit of glue for a little bit of wiggle. You know how much we love a little wiggle. I'm only putting just a tiny bit on there, because I do want that to catch. And it's because it's an awkward shape. Right, okay, so I'm just tucking that in, lining that up, that edge at the top, making sure those score lines are coming in. And there we go. And I can get my finger in there in those sides, and I can just hold that down like so. And we are almost there. Voila. All right, so looking at our sides, so to close this, you just fold one down over the other, fold the other one, and literally, you know how like you put together a box on the lid, and you just sort of have them so that they're wrapped over like that. We're going to do exactly the same. Just going to tuck that in. So that's got my ends in already, and I'm just going to look at the patterns and make a decision which one I want for the front, and which one, and plus like my angles and everything like that, and which one I prefer to be at the back. So I think I'm going to have this one at the front. So right, Debbie, when construction, does the middle have a triangular peephole? Yes, it does, Sam. That's absolutely right. Okay, a little peephole. There it is. Okay, so one side we're going to glue. So I'm going to put my circle here. Now I've put this on the pattern here as a 1.5 inch circle, which is optional. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you were putting place names on there, you could cut yourself a triangle on there, you could do a little square, you could do whatever you like. That's why I put it as optional, but I am going to use the circle, and I'm going to glue that on there, and then that covers up. So now it identifies what's the front and what's the back. Okay, and when we're putting this on the table, then we can sort that out. So that is going to go on there, and then I just need my pattern that I'm going to put, like I've got here, on the front there. So I'm just looking at my circle now, because that is 1.5 inches. I want a 1.5 or 1.25 inch. Let's have a little look, depending on what we're doing. So that is 1.5. So ideally coming in at 1.25, but I think 1 inch actually might look better. Let's have a little look. So I've got my circle punches here. That's 1 inch. So it depends on how much black you want to use around it, really, and what I can cut this out of. So you see, that's the smaller one. So let me just punch this one out. So it depends on pattern size, really. See, now that is a 1 inch and that is too small, but you might want that effect So I want the 1 1/4 inch. Where's my 1 1/4 inch? There we are. 1 1/4 inch. So I'm going to see, I quite like this snowflake here. Oh, there's that one there. Oh, there's that one in the middle there, might fit better. So I might just need to cut round that so I can get to it. So I can cut that centrally. Oh, look at that. It's like it was made to measure. Okay, so I'm just going to punch that one out. And now I'm going to trial that one here. I'm going to keep this little one because that might come in handy for one of the smaller boxes. And that will sit just perfect on there. So that's great. Just move some of my stuff out of the way. I'm getting a bit of a mess here on my desk. There we go. All right, and now I'm just going to ink around here. And I'm going to do a little bit of faux stitching. Just around this edge. Now circles can be a little bit tricky, so I tend to do 3 little dashes at a time, and then turn it round just to try and get that bit of a curved edge. 1, 2. Obviously you'll have more time to be doing your decorating, but 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're going to use these for advent calendars, then obviously you can put numbers on these instead of these little ones. If you're going for like the big ones or the smaller ones, so you know, it gives you plenty of choice as to what to do with them. There we go. Right. So I'm now going to just glue this on, and then I'm going to glue it onto my side. And that, would you believe, is my box done, the bigger one. Like so. Okay. I'm just going to centre that. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back to put this on that, cover that little keyhole bit there. Okay, and then that's just going to sit on like so. I'm just going to centre that. And what I can do is open these out. Just give that a push on the inside just to make sure that that is stuck. Hurry up. Move. Thank you. That's it. Just give it a little push down on the inside. And that is the front of the box. And then the back bit, you will have that tiny little bit of a hole in there because obviously people need to be able to get into their boxes to get their little chocolates. But that is it. And that is 2 little circles. So I've done these ones slightly smaller by the looks of it compared to my main one, but you know what, at the end of the day it's your choice, but it just gives you options there. And then we've got our little gift little tag on there as well, and that is our, well, the festive treat one. It's not the little mini one. Okay, how's everybody doing? Right, if you were clever, you could make these Santa hats. Oh yes, especially if they have a triangular shape. Oh, that's a, see, I love these ideas. The tag could be the bobble on the hat, on the top of the hat maybe. Yeah, you could actually. You could probably get away with covering all the sides in the red. Okay. You could maybe perhaps put like a little cap or something on the top for his hat. You could almost use this bit for his face if you wanted, and then you could just put a little bit of white card or something around there, or a bit of cotton wool or something for his beard. So yeah, you could absolutely mess around and play with those. So nice idea that. You see, this is what I love. We like these. Brilliant, all fitted together. Yay, well done, Deborah. Okay, so let's move swiftly on. So we know what we're doing, everybody. Yes? Let's crack on and make one of our little, the little tree ones. Okay. But again, you don't have to add the trunk bit, as I said earlier. You don't have to do that. You can do that on the, you know, you can leave that off. So I did cut 2 out here, but I'm just going to get the bits that I need. Right, let's trip those back on there. I was getting a bit carried away cutting out on the bits. All right, and I have already pre-scored, inked and faux stitched my bits already, so it shouldn't take too long to do this. But let's make a start then. If everybody's all okay, give me a thumbs up and we'll make the little ones. So again, on your pictures, on your lovely instructions, you'll see for mini tree ornament the pencil lines and that, and again it gives you all the pencil lines and the score lines and everything on there ready. Okay, so I've split my drawings down for the 2 pieces. Okay, so in effect you're getting 2 patterns in one. Bargain, Deb. Okay, the main box then, 7 1/4. Thank you, Andy. The main box then, 7 1/4 by 2 5/8. So we're going to score on the 7 1/4 side. Again, we're going to do the 1/2 inch. Okay, then we're going to come in at 2 3/4 and 5 inches. Okay, that's all our scoring done. So you can get quite a few of these out of your A4 paper or your like 12 by 12, depending on what you use. Right, keeping the little 1/2 inch on there, we're going to put in the pencil marks. So let's get my little ruler. Buried my little ruler. So you should all know now what we are doing. I'm just going over the measurements. Oh, I haven't scored on the 2 5/8 side, have I? Good. So I was getting too excited. I'm getting too carried away. 5/8 of an inch, Deb, down here. There we go, and 2 inches. There we are. Look, it happens to the best of us, honestly. honest. I would have realised when I come to fold the thing up, you know. Okay, now I've got tape stuck everywhere. Dear oh lordy. All right, so now we've done all our scorings, we're going to do our pencil marks. So our pencil marks are coming along 7/8 of an inch. 7/8 of an inch. So I've got my 1/2 inch tab bit on this side, like we had before. I've got the bubbly bit on the inside. Okay, so that's 2/8, and we've got 2 3/8. 2 3/8, and then we've got 3 1/8. Deftly silence the concentration. 3 1/8, 4 5/8, 4 5/8. Let's just make sure that is all lined up. 4 5/8. 5 3/8. 1 2 3. There we go. 5 3/8. Voila. And then the last measurement is 6 7/8. So we're going to just scroll up there. 6 7/8. Oh, excuse me. So we're aiming for the same cutting as we did before. Obviously that's the bigger one, so I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. But we're doing it in miniature now, so I'm going to need smaller scissors. So I'm going to cut up this end first. So from where that is to the score line, from the score line to the pencil line, and then I'm going to come in from there, and then come in on the other side of that score line, and then we're going to do the same on all of these others. So while we're just getting these done, I know next week we've got I think we've got the Quartetto boxes coming up for our next our next thingy. She says, if I can find me honestly, I had them here a moment ago. Yeah, I think it's the Quartetto boxes next week, and we're going to do 2 boxes each week. So because we've got 4 designs in that, so yeah, you get a major big bucks for your patterns on that one. You're getting 4 patterns. You know me, I love to share. I just thought it just makes more sense, you know, so you get the opportunity to do whichever style you want then. There we go. Right, okay. And as always, the videos for these will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And if you haven't downloaded your free pattern already, if some of you are just sitting watching, I suggest you pop over there soon, because after the event they will no longer be free. Okay, so just giving you a quick heads up, then pop along and download that. And also the Christmas mystery, the Merry Mystery box download is also up on the website now as well. Okay, so there we are. So I've got my paper, my box, and I've already prepped my papers to go on here and what I'm going to stick on there. Now I just want to mention, all right, that on my instructions I say about when we come to cut, you know how we cut 3/8 of an inch off the other one, all right, on this one I've said that we are cutting 3/16, all right. So just to make it easier for people, okay, so obviously where you've got your lovely lines coming across, so basically it's the line, or imagine a line between 1/8 and 2/8. It's that middle line in the middle there. That's where I've drawn my pencil lines, okay, just to make it easier. So when you come to do your cut, I can't get my words out now, cutting your diagonal on your strips, okay, just go between the 1/8 and the 1/4 of an inch mark there as your 3/16, as it were. All right, because I do know that some rulers don't go down as far as that, and so I just needed to explain that so everybody knows. Okay, is everybody all right with that? Hopefully. Right, and as before, I'm just going to lay everything out on here. I've already inked and done my faux stitching. Just going to put my little, and everything's in miniature, so you can see why we did the bigger one first, but now we're making the smaller one. It just shows, you know, you're aware of what we're aiming to do, because we are doing just exactly the same. Okay. And then on this one, just checking these. Do I need to make any slight alterations? It's not too bad. I think I might just, that one fits all right. Those, let's swap those 2 over. See how they look. That's not bad. Okay, right, and then once you've got them all lined up, then you can glue and stick them down. So that's what we're going for. So I'm going to stick these middle panels in first. I'll just get the glue going. There we are. And again, I'm just making sure I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and just making sure that my panels are in line. There we go. Like so. Now please do pop your, take some photos of your boxes and pop them onto our Craftywafty group, and that, because it'll be great to see them. We love to see what everybody's been doing and everybody's different take on what I've been doing. Like Sam was saying about doing some Santas. If you do that, Sam, then please do pop those pictures on, because I think it would be lovely to see it done completely differently, the different tone to it. So I'm just popping these on. There we go. I think that is fairly straight. Yeah, it is now. I've turned it around. It's just love to see everybody's interpretation of what everyone's been doing. And if you did make any of the Halloween lanterns last week, then or the other week, then please pop them on as well. So it'd be nice to see those as well, or any of your albums, or any of your other bits that you've been making for us. I know some of you have as we've gone along, which is lovely. Good for you, Sam. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those if you're gonna have a go at doing the Santas. It may be a case of layering paper. I know, I saw the Halloween lanterns, they were amazing. Yeah, I saw the it may be a case of doing, right, when you're doing the Santas, is maybe layering up paper to get that effect. That's just the way. She says she made them for her daughter to take out for Halloween, and then she forgot to take them with her. Well, I don't know why, I thought Halloween was on the Thursday and I was going away on the Friday, and then I realised that I would be away for Halloween, and therefore all my lovely boxes and other bits and pieces that I've been making, I couldn't put out anyway because I wasn't here. So next year I'll be more organised. Okay, right, I think we are done. How dinky these! They are so cute, little dinky ones. Okay, now with our lovely bit of baker's twine, again I have said about the same width of the same bit of length, because I want it to obviously hang. So we're going to attach these first. The subtle difference for this one is that I don't have to thread a tag on it. Okay, so I'm going to poke a hole through. So I'm going to come in on, so that's folding, let's just give that a little fold, see where that's going to come in, have the crease right. So I want it in here, so I'm just trying to go in the middle, not stab my finger. There we are. All right, I'm just going to poke these through. Do I need a little bit of black tape, or can I get away with it? No, I think I need a tiny little bit of black tape just to hold those ends together. And it does really depend on what cord or what have you you're using. Perhaps you're using a bit of elastic. So you could put elastic on these, and then these could pop up and down. That could be fun. Right, okay, so let's just wrap a little bit of, oh my goodness, fireworks going off in the background. Right, okay, so almost made it like a needle shape to go in there. That goes in. There's my little loop. Just going to get my circle. I'm going to poke my hole through there without stabbing my finger. Don't need another finger injury after my last one. Right, I'm just going to poke that in there. I'm just going to tie that round in a knot. Just tie you round in a knot. It's a little bit fiddly. I know, I appreciate for some of you guys that you can't necessarily see what I'm doing here, but I am tying a knot in the end. Right, let's pull that through. So that's going to have that hanging. I'm going to add a little bit of glue underneath that. I might as well put a little bit of tape on this one as well. I mean, when I made the original, I just stuck it down, but just going to do that. That just sticks down. That a bit of a crease. Just add a little bit of tape over the top. Just to keep that in place. There we go. Let's tuck that round. Okay, well that went a lot smoothly, didn't it? You see, you love it, don't you? Crafting with Debbie, there's always something. There's always something. Right, okay, so I'm now going to just make sure that these all fold. Fold my edges in. Like so. Here we go. I'm going to tuck that one in there. Let's fold on the crease. If you're a bit unsure, you can obviously go over it with a bone folder just to give those nice creases like that. So it's just test it. So I'm going to run up, and then that's the tab that's going to come over the top. Like so, because that will hang like that. So again, I'm going to put a little bit of red liner tape on the end there. Right, let's turn that round because I've got that tape going that way, so that will fit better. There we go. Cut that. Give that a good burnish there. Right, let's move that out the way. Right, I'm just going to peel that off, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue, a little bit of wiggle room. Oh goodness me, I apologise for the fireworks in the background. Did they not know it was last night? Okay, right, and now we're going to tuck that down, and again I'm just going to line that up and make sure that that all sits in. Oh, red liner tape gets everywhere. Right, okay, I've got that little bit of glue. Give that, whoops, didn't mean to drop it, there we are. Give that a little pinch like so. Hold that in on the inside for a minute. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all okay out there. I bet you're all concentrating, aren't you? Good, good. I like moi. Right, okay, so now we've got that stuck down. I can do like we did before. We can fold over our edges like so, on both sides, and then I'm going to choose which one I think which side looks better for the front and for the back. I quite like that side. All good, lovely. So I'm going to get my circle. Now this black circle on here, I've got 1.5 inches, sorry, 1.25 inches. Yeah, 1.25. This little one is 1 inch, which will sit just nicely on there. So I'm going to glue that on. Right. I'm just going to pop that on there. There we go. Try and make sure I get that centered. And before I stick that on there, I've got this little star. It's like a little wooden star that I'm going to stick on there. On my original one, I've put a little wooden sort of snowflake. Okay, so I'm going to peel that off. But these are old ones that I've had, so I will add some glue behind it because I don't think that's not tacky enough. I've had them in the box for a while. I'm using up some of my stash. Using up some of these embellishments that I've had forever and a day, and just not got round to using. So these work quite nicely. A little star on there. It's just because it's got the goldness to it, like so. And I'm just going to let that dry for a minute before I put it on our box. But we're missing our little trunk. So the trunk is a long strip of card. This has come out my scrap box, and this is that's what I've put between 10 and 12 inches, about 3 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm literally just going to roll it. Just going to try and get that as tiny as I can. Now, depending on how nimble you are with your fingers, by all means glue as you go along. I'm going to attempt to do this without glue because otherwise I know how messy I can get. But I'm just going to roll this, and this will, you'll need to take a little bit of time. You need to get into a bit of a rhythm with it. Right, okay, just trying to get the shape coming. There we go. So we're just rolling it and get in there, and I'm just trying to keep it flat as well. Okay, all right, now we've got the momentum going. It takes a little while to get it started, so I'll just, there we go. I think Sam's trying to make more work for me. Oh, I can stack them. Oh yes, I could make a larger triangular box. Yes, I could. Absolutely. I think once you've got, as I said, once you've got the concept, that the problem is, I often find that it's the size of the papers that can limit us to, you know, sort of making some things bigger, and sometimes, you know, we have to do a little join or something. But yeah, that's certainly worth a go. I mean, they're fairly straightforward. I mean, it was quite easy to upscale and downscale these. Right, okay, so I've put a little bit of glue on the end, and I'm just going to roll that round. Okay, swipe that glue away before it gets to, and I'm just going to have to hold it for a few seconds. But you can see how tightly wound I've managed to get that. In fact, I think that was a better job than my first one. I won't show you the first one. And I'm just making sure that that sits flat, which it does. So yeah, so I've got glue all over my fingers now. So I'm just holding that in situ. Now you could, if you wanted to, cut a little bit of yeah, it's an absolute possible idea, Sam. Thank you for that. So I'm going to leave it black, but you could, if you wanted to, put a bit of patterned paper just wrapped around that if you wanted, but I'm leaving it like that, and then that is going to get glued onto the base. But before we do that, let's stick on my decoration, because that will give the box a bit of sturdiness as well. Here we go. Right, my little star. I'm just going to have to hold that in place. Okay, but again, depending on what your decoration is or how you're decorating your boxes, will obviously determine what you want to put on there. And you don't have to put a little 3D embellishment on there, it's up to you. Like I said before, you could put a little name on there, or you could just have it like that, hanging from the Christmas tree. Right, I think that is firmly fixed. And now just the centre for our little trunk of our tree. So I think that side's going to fit better. So I'm going to add a fair bit of glue to this, because this bottom bit is probably going to move a little bit until it catches. So we're just going to tuck that on there. Make sure I get it on the right side, so it's coming, so it's opposite where the hanging is. I'm just going to place that to the centre of the star. So I'm just looking at the centre point of where the top of the box is coming down to see if I can get that fairly centred, and I might just need to move that just over a fraction so it's centred to the middle of that box. Right, I'm just going to hold that for a second. These are so cute. Quite looking forward to putting these on my Christmas tree. Oh yeah, yeah, that would do. Yeah, definitely. You've made the bigger one. I will look into it, Sam. If you get there before me, that's absolutely fine. But I will look into making a bigger one, and see what we can come up with. I think I just focused on chocolate. Well, you can tell, can't you? Because a couple of my other projects coming up are chocolate based. But yes, yeah. We can definitely look at that, and then you can put bigger gifts in. There we are. Let's see whether... Oh, look, and because I wound that nice and flat, it actually stands up on its own. How cute is that? Well, I'm amazed that that's done that, but there we go. Does my other one, my original one, do that? It's got chocolate in it, so it's probably not helping, but it stands on its own without the chocolate. So I'm taking that win until you put the chocolate in it, and then that throws the weight off a bit. But there we go. Right. How's everybody done? Are we all done and finished? Did anybody have any questions? Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry. Right, I was getting my wires crossed. That means the larger size that we've already made would make a good fit. Yes, no, definitely. But making it an even bigger one, that could work as well. Okay. So we are all sorted. If everybody's happy with what they've made, like I said, please pop the photos up on our Facebook page. That would be fantastic. As you can see here, subtle difference here. I've just used slightly smaller circles than that one, but your choice how you decorate them. But I think they're just nice little gift ideas, and you just got to make sure that the family don't find them beforehand and eat the chocolates inside before you get to gift them away. Oh, you're welcome, Wendy. Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, no, I think they're just a nice, cute little idea, and I particularly love these. These are just so deep. Well, you know I like Dinky. I do my Dinky Winky Doodah album, don't I? So I do like Dinky. But there we go. So thanks ever so much for watching. As I said, do post on our Facebook page. If you haven't been crafting with us tonight, you can pop over to YouTube. I'll get that uploaded over the weekend. And yeah, and then next week we're going with our quartetto celebration boxes. So if you haven't downloaded your cutting and score instructions for that, then get it in quick. But on that note, I'm going to say thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you next week. Bye.